In by far the most hyped matchup on the international stage, Asian giants T1 and EDG square off. This game was an awesome example of what drafting can look like contextually to your team, especially in the case of T1, as they have a strong understanding of how picks look like when they pilot it versus other people, and how this can fundamentally affect some drafting priorities. Drafts that look losing for some teams can be winning for teams that can play at this level. If you enjoyed this analysis, but love a sub for more content like this, let's hop into the draft. In the first phase bans, T1 opted to remove LeBlanc, Maokai, and Graves, whereas EDG banned out Caitlyn, Sejuani, and Aatrox. There's been higher priorities on Maokai and Sej in bans, so Yuumi has actually slipped through altogether for once. I wouldn't say there's anything out of the ordinary here, with the exception of the high priority on a LeBlanc ban for T1. The rationale behind that is likely to give enough room for Faker to be able to play and have agency in whatever matchup he's in, so the logic checks out. T1 opted to take that right away to start things off. EDG respond in kind by taking away Kalista and Azir. Azir's pretty good overall as a champ that can do well in most lanes and functions really well in front to back. He can also start some engages as well with the Shurima Shuffle, but he definitely functions better as a simple front to backer. Kalista is kind of a similar case, but inverse in nature. She's definitely an aggressive champ, but has some combos with Renata in order to play more standard. She, however, just has much less DPS than the average AD carry though, so it's not that great to play under those scenarios. Immediately, I see this as something to keep in mind with the EDG draft, because even with only 2 out of 5 champions being picked, it's a little bit hard for these champions to function that well together consistently. For the B2-B3, T1 pair off the Yuumi with Sipper, which is the most well-rounded Yuumi pairing that teams go for, as well as Kali for the Azir matchup. T1's draft is still pretty well-rounded so far, with a great matchup into mid, but whether or not they can come out on top is up to their ability to respond to the Sivir Yuumi. Support should be picked R3 here, or else it's too easy for T1 to use their bans to choke out the support pool and protect this pick really easily. The response is Renata, and while it's the best enchanted counter pick possible into Yuumi, which is what you want into Yuumi actually, you are still inherently very limited in bot lane pairings thanks to how Kalista generally wants to play the game. The more consistent move is likely to simply pick the best forward pick possible here, and then use phase 2 bans in order to block out T1 from picking any defensive picks on topside so that T1 can't really prevent your engage. Instead of Renata, Alistar is probably the best candidate to supplement this style, with Leona also being decent. Moving quickly to phase 2 bans, EDG sort of pinched that they're going to commit to this style anyway by banning out Poppy and Kennen, 2 defensive picks on jungle and on the top respectively. T1 basically take the hint and ban out Renekton and Jarvan as well. T1 can easily minimize the lane and weak side with Yuumi, so the last thing that T1 wants is a champion like Renekton that can create a guaranteed lane to play through for EDG. R4 swings around and EDG full swing for the engage with the Vi pick. It does work well with what EDG has so far, and EDG does win fights by diving backline and deleting Sivir, but Vi is not the champion that should be feeling this condition because of the context of Vi and Sivir. It's very easy for Sivir to time for spell shield around Vi, and with the tools they currently have on their team, there's no mix-ups they can do to actually secure an engage. For example, if they ran another proper engage champion like Alistar, then Alistar can force an engage onto Sivir and burn her shield, and then Vi can follow up and actually secure that engage. With the champions that EDG have, they're trying to do a little bit of everything, so in return they really end up being able to do nothing. For the B4, B5, T1 blind Fiora and go for Lee Sin, establishing that their comp is meant to break up the strong team fighting that EDG have as much as possible. Lee Sin is the best flexible facilitator remaining, and he can easily reorient his resources to enable Fiora, or to help prevent dives onto Sivir at certain moments, and so on. As long as T1 stabilize their lanes and use the advantage that Fiora should generate in order to contest objectives, then they're golden. With the Ornn locked in R5, EDG also volunteer for the losing matchup dynamic of sacrificing lane for stronger team fighting. However, I'd say that T1 has pretty much as prepared of a draft as possible to break up this team fighting and play on their own terms. However, I'd still say that this draft is pretty favored for EDG if it weren't also for their specific matchup of players. The main thing here is that T1 aren't drafting stuff that's winning, they're drafting things that are winning for T1. It's very unique to them that they're able to draft stuff like this in my opinion, because they're confident that they can execute. And if you watch the game, it's clear that you can see the strengths of this comp come to life. T1 has picked champions that scale with the players, and these are some of the strongest players to have to pilot them. With that in mind, I rate this draft 55-45 in favor of T1. As always though, hopefully this was insightful to you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay fresh.